Some people carry pains that seem more intense, deeper, more persistent. And for a long time they believed that this was a defect, a weakness, or even a punishment. But what if this pain is in fact a signal that you were chosen for something greater? The chosen are not better than others, but they are souls who carry a different mission, a mission of healing, transformation, and consciousness. And for that mission to reveal itself, it is usually preceded by emotional wounds. Wounds that teach, that reveal, that shape. Wounds that on the outside seem to be pain, but on the inside carry hidden power. That is why so many of these pains seem to occur early, repeatedly, or with an intensity that no one else understands. This is because the chosen one is being prepared, not in theory, but alive, by experience itself. On this path, it is not uncommon to feel different, misunderstood, solitary. But these experiences do not come to drive you away from others, but to bring you closer to who you really are. They are mission codes, disguised as wounds. In this content, we will explore 7 deep pains that mark the lives of the chosen, and reveal the sacred mission hidden within each one of them. Because the truth is that each point of pain is also a point of dormant light. You will notice that nothing was in vain, that what hurt taught, that what was missing shaped your strength, that what wounded awakened your soul, and that you are already on the path, even when you thought you were lost. I am George, and together we will discover what each deep pain has to tell you about who you really are and what you came for. Do not forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. 1. The pain of rejection. The mission of deep self-acceptance. Few pains are as silent as rejection. It does not shout. It insinuates itself. It arrives slowly, almost invisibly, in small gestures, in words left unsaid, in absences that leave gaps. For many chosen ones, this pain begins early, and it is precisely because it is so subtle that it becomes so deep. You may have grown up feeling out of place. Perhaps you realized, even as a child, that your feelings were too much, that your sensitivity was not welcome, that the way you were did not fit. And then, like every human being who needs love to survive, you tried to adapt. Perhaps you did everything to be accepted. Get good grades, please your parents, hide your pains, become what they expected. But the more you tried to fit in, the further you drifted from yourself. And deep down, the feeling was the same. If I am who I really am, they will reject me. This wound settles as an invisible filter, and you begin to see the world through it. Any silence becomes rejection. Any critique sounds like abandonment. Any distancing seems to confirm that there is something wrong with you. Even unintentionally, you start seeking constant approval, as if you needed to prove all the time that you deserve to stay. But here is the truth that the soul of the chosen ones came to remind. The pain of rejection is not the end of the story. It is the beginning of your mission. Behind this wound, there exists a far greater calling. The call to self-acceptance unconditionally. Because no one who has come to fulfill a soul mission so unique can live bound by others' expectations. Your essence was not born to be molded. It was born to be expressed. Rejection does not hurt you because you are weak. It hurts because it touches exactly the point where your light wants to be born. It shows where you are still seeking love outside, when your soul is already ready to offer that love to itself. And this is where healing begins. When you stop trying to fit into places that do not suit you. When you begin to see yourself with tenderness, even with the parts that still hurt. When you understand that you do not need to be accepted by everyone. Because in truth, your mission is to accept yourself exactly as you are, This internal turn is powerful. You stop begging for love. You stop molding yourself to please. You understand that some people will never be able to see your light. And that's okay, because you have finally learned to see it. Self-acceptance is a path that takes time. It does not happen overnight. But every step toward yourself, every choice to listen to yourself, every no spoken firmly, every yes given with truth, is a part of your mission being fulfilled. When you begin to cradle yourself deeply, even the pain of rejection changes color. It ceases to be a thorn and becomes a portal that takes you back to your center, to your value, to your self-love. You are not alone in this. Many feel this same pain, and over time, discover that it was what led them to awakening. Because no one truly awakens without first facing squarely where it hurt most. And if today you feel tired of proving yourself, if you cannot bear waiting for others to recognize who you are, know, your soul is calling you to something greater. It is inviting you to recognize yourself first, to love yourself first, to choose yourself. Because the true mission of rejection is precisely this, to teach you to never abandon yourself again. 2. The pain of solitude, the mission of building community. Few feelings touch as deeply as solitude, and for a chosen one, it is not just an absence of company, it is a sense of being disconnected, even when surrounded by people. It is looking around and asking, does anyone truly understand me? This pain can accompany you from an early age. Perhaps you were that quieter, more sensitive child who saw the world through different eyes. Perhaps you already felt that you speak a language that few understand. This sensation is not imagination. It is the soul recognizing that your frequency is different. The chosen one feels more, thinks more, questions more. And because of that, often, they distance themselves or are kept at a distance. The silence of solitude becomes a familiar place. Sometimes comforting, sometimes cruel. But this pain has a larger purpose to exist. Within it lives the mission to build bridges, to create space for true connection. Because those who have been alone learn to value presence. Those who have cried in whispers learn to listen with the heart. Solitude teaches empathy. It teaches to see beyond the surface. It teaches to perceive those who, like you, are feeling lost or invisible. And that is where your mission begins to blossom. The chosen one transforms the pain of solitude into relational wisdom. He learns to create safe spaces, to bring people together, to give voice to those who have silenced for a long time. He becomes the link, the embrace, the reference of belonging for others who, like him, also felt on the margins. It is no coincidence that many therapists, mentors, spiritual leaders, and soul teachers carry a history of profound solitude, because their mission is not merely to live in a group, it is to heal solitude in others, creating community with purpose, presence, and truth. If you feel you have gone through long periods alone, and today you have the desire to unite, care, welcome, then know, your pain was not in vain. It prepared you to be a safe harbor for others. And this call, silent and powerful, is part of your mission. 3. The pain of exclusion, the mission to include the invisible. If there is something that silently wounds the heart of a chosen one, it is the feeling of exclusion. And the most curious thing is that often it does not come from a single significant episode, but from a subtle repetition of situations. The group that does not call you, the conversation where your opinion is not heard, the space where you do not feel welcome. From early on, perhaps you have felt as if you were always on the outside, watching, but not belonging, being present, but not truly included. And this, over time, generates a kind of deep pain that is often hard to name. It is a mix of invisibility with impotence. You ask yourself, what is wrong with me? And you try to adapt, to mold yourself, to stay quiet. But still, the feeling persists. You don't fit in. What few notice is that this pain hides a beautiful mission, the mission to include. Who has ever been excluded knows the value of being seen. Who has ever been left out knows how much it makes a difference to be invited to enter. Therefore, chosen ones who have gone through this pain end up developing a sensitive and empathetic gaze. They see what others do not see. They listen to whom no one listens. They extend a hand to those who live at the margins. The pain of exclusion taught you to identify safe environments and to create these environments for others. You learned, through experience, that belonging is not bought, not imposed. It is built, with truth and warmth, and more. This wound also helped you realize that true belonging begins when you include yourself. When you stop excluding yourself internally. When you decide to occupy spaces even if no one has given you permission. Today, perhaps you are that person who invites, who welcomes, who notices when someone is displaced and creates space for them as well. If this is already happening with you, it is a clear sign that your mission is in motion. Your pain was not in vain. It transformed you into someone capable of creating belonging where there was only silence before. 4. The pain of injustice, the mission to awake consciousness. The pain of injustice is one of the most striking for a chosen one. It can begin with small situations, such as being unjustly accused, witnessing abuses without the power to intervene, or feeling that even doing the right thing you are punished. And it does not matter the context. School, family, work. The feeling is always the same. Something inside you revolts. It is a pain that goes beyond the ego. It is a pain that touches the soul, because you feel that something is wrong, and you do not understand why no one else sees. The chosen one by nature has a deep sense of truth and ethics. Therefore, when injustice happens, he feels it intensely. Sometimes he even tries to quiet down, to ignore, but cannot, because the soul beats for integrity. This pain, though difficult, holds a powerful purpose. It awakens in you the mission to provoke consciousness, to illuminate what is hidden. Those who feel injustice on their skin become those who do not remain silent in the face of it. They become agents of change. You may not have chosen this consciously, but you were chosen to see beyond appearances, to question what is considered normal, to not conform with what harms, oppresses, distorts. And it is precisely this sensitivity to injustice that makes you a channel of transformation. You inspire others to see as well. You provoke reflection. You show that there is another way to live, fairer, more humane, more conscious. This mission can manifest in diverse forms, as activism, as education, as deep listening, as ethical positioning. The important thing is to understand that by feeling this pain, you also receive the gift of generating clarity and truth in the environments you pass through. If you have ever felt outraged by situations others normalized, if you have fought for someone in silence, if you have cried at seeing the world so disconnected from the truth, know, you are exactly where you should be. This pain is a call, and your mission is to be a voice, even when everyone chooses silence. 5. The pain of sensitivity. The mission to transmute energies. Being sensitive has not always been easy for you. From early on, perhaps you heard that you were exaggerated, intense, too sentimental. Everything affected you profoundly. A sidelong look, a harsh word, the energy of a heavy environment. It was as if you absorbed everything. This sensitivity, instead of being welcomed, was often seen as weakness. And to survive, you may have learned to close yourself off, to pretend you didn't feel so much, to build internal barriers to try to protect yourself. But even with the barriers, sensitivity remained there, alive, pulsing, because it is part of your soul. This pain, of feeling everything in excess, of carrying pains that aren't even yours, is very common among the chosen ones. And it can be confusing. At times you feel blessed to perceive what no one sees. At other times, cursed for not being able to switch off. What few know is that this sensitivity is not a flaw. It is an energetic gift. And like any gift, it needs to be understood, refined and respected. You came into the world with the mission to feel deeply in order to transform, transmute, heal. The pain of feeling so much only exists because you are connected to subtle layers of reality. And with this connection comes a responsibility to learn to use this perception, not as overload, but as a tool of service. The chosen are emotional alchemists. They feel what is hidden. They touch where no one touches. And with that touch, they can heal old wounds, theirs and others. When you begin to recognize your sensitivity as a sacred channel, everything changes. You stop judging yourself. You stop hiding. You stop feeling weak. And you begin to honor the truth that you came with the mission to be a mirror, a bridge, a channel between the invisible and the visible. You begin to realize that you can change the climate of a place just by your presence, that your listening eases pains, that your intuition anticipates truths, and that your heart has a silent strength that transforms any environment. The pain of being sensitive becomes power when you learn to take care of yourself, to cleanse yourself energetically, to set boundaries with love, to say no when you need to preserve yourself, and to allow yourself to pause without guilt. This is the moment when pain becomes mission. You stop being a sponge and become a channel. You stop carrying the weight of the world and begin to illuminate what is heavy. Your sensitivity is your compass, your medicine, your greatest tool for connection. If you already feel everything deeply, but you are learning to cradle this feeling with respect, know your mission is awakening, and the world needs souls like yours who feel, who listen, who heal. 6. The pain of breaking cycles. The mission to align. Generations. Breaking with family patterns is one of the deepest pains a chosen one can live. This is because this pain does not begin with you. It begins long before. It is rooted in the stories, traumas, silences, and beliefs of an entire lineage. You may have grown up in an environment where certain behaviors were seen as normal. Toxic relationships, lack of dialogue, authoritarianism, fear, control, emotional deprivation, emotional repression. And for a long time, perhaps you tried to adapt, to stay quiet, to obey, to follow. But at some point, something in you cried out, "This is not healthy." And even without understanding exactly why, you began to question, to stop accepting what was passed down, to feel that you needed to do different, even if it caused conflict, pain, guilt, or distancing. This pain is a lonely one, because by choosing to break cycles, you naturally drift away from the normal of your origin. You may feel like the odd one out in the family, the one who disturbs, the one who questions, the one who goes against the current. But this pain carries one of the most sacred purposes. You were chosen to align generations, to interrupt the repetition, to heal what had been perpetuated for lack of awareness. The soul of the chosen ones carries codes of deep transformation, and many of these souls come to cleanse family systems, to transform trauma into learning, pain into consciousness, silence into truth. Breaking with a pattern does not mean rejecting those who came before. It means honoring your ancestors to the point of wanting to heal what they could not. This mission requires courage. because you face not only the weight of inherited beliefs, but also the loneliness of being the first to say, enough. But the beauty is precisely there. When you break a cycle, you are not merely changing your life, you are opening space so that those who come after you do not have to carry the same burden. If you feel you carry pains that did not start with you, that you are tired of repeating patterns that hurt you, and you are taking steps to do differently, no, you are aligned with your mission. This mission is silent, but powerful, and you are not alone in it. There are thousands of other awakened souls doing this work, transforming their lineages with love, presence, and courage. What begins as a deep pain becomes a legacy. 7. The pain of deep loneliness, the mission to connect souls. You may be surrounded by people and still feel alone. You may have friends, family, work, commitments. But something in you feels like something essential is missing. This sense of not belonging fully seems to have accompanied you forever. And it's not just the absence of company. It is an existential loneliness, a silent emptiness, hard to explain, that appears in the most unexpected moments, as if no one could truly reach you, as if you were on a different frequency. For many of the chosen ones, this is one of the hardest pains to carry, because it goes beyond the visible. It is like a longing for something you don't remember, a nostalgia for a home that is not in this physical world. This loneliness tends to appear more strongly during moments of spiritual awakening, when you begin to see the world with new eyes, feel more deeply, disconnect from certain superficialities. You naturally move away from everything that is not real. And that distancing, though necessary, also hurts. Perhaps you have felt in many moments that you were too strange, too intense, too different, that your thoughts, your emotions, and your sensitivity did not fit into ordinary conversations, social roles, or the expected molds. And this creates distance, first from others, then, if there is no warmth, from yourself. But this pain of solitude carries within it a sacred mission. Because those who feel so deeply the lack of true connection came precisely to be a bridge of reconnection, to create spaces where souls meet truly, to form bonds based on essence, not appearance. Those who feel the emptiness of disconnection value real presence the most. Therefore, the chosen ones are called to create communities, bonds, networks of support. Not with many people, but with real people, who see themselves, hear themselves, welcome themselves. You do not feel all of this by accident. This solitude is not a mistake. It is a soul's call for you to reconnect with your own center, and from there, begin to attract more aligned connections. Before becoming a bridge for the other, you must cross the bridge into yourself. And this inner path is, by nature, solitary, because only you can walk it. But as you cross it, something changes. You begin to meet other souls who have also walked this path. And these souls recognize you in the silence, in the gaze, in the energy. The hidden mission behind solitude is the mission to unite what is separated, to heal the pain of exclusion through inclusion, to welcome not only yourself, but also the other, especially those who also feel displaced, lost, or invisible. When you begin to do this, everything changes. Solitude stops being a burden and becomes a solid foundation of presence. You no longer need crowds to feel complete. You learn to value real relationships, even if few. Chosen ones learn to be self-sufficient, but not to isolate. Rather to strengthen themselves and then share. Because a soul awakened, anchored in itself, becomes a beacon for others. Many people believe that spiritual awakening is about constant peace, but in reality, the chosen awaken through pain. They are people who feel deeply, who live internal ruptures, who carry a silence heavy with weight. It's not weakness, It's refined sensitivity. And the world insists on treating this as a mistake, when in fact, it's the first sign of a larger mission. The pain you carry is not random. It has roots, it has history, it has reason. Often it comes from before you even understood what pain was. It comes from childhood, from the absence of affection, from the feeling of inadequacy. And, even if no one has explained this to you, your soul felt that there was something there that was not just suffering. It was a calling. The chosen go through deep pains because they are prepared to heal not only themselves, but also others. Each lived rejection teaches embrace. Each exclusion teaches belonging. Each loss brings a reminder of what really matters. The soul is forged in the fire of emotions that no one wants to feel. But those who feel transform. Those who endure are reborn different. The true purpose does not come ready. It forms itself in the details, in the sleepless nights, in the relationships that hurt, in the moments when you think about giving up, but you still continue. The mission of a chosen one is not to carry the pain forever. It is to learn to transform it. And when that happens, you become a bridge for others who are still trying to cross. If something touched you here, if you felt that something inside you was named, I want to invite you to share. Speak here in the comments which of these pains you recognize in yourself. Your story can be the mirror that another soul needs to see itself more clearly. And when an awakened person recognizes themselves, they light a beacon for those still in the shadow.